A lot of people aren't realizing why their relationships continue to fail, right? Whether you're in the dating stage and you're trying to find that person and it's like going on a carousel, keep getting the same people that don't work out, or you always attract the wrong people and you wind up in a relationship that ends painfully, or you have ongoing issues in your current relationship that just won't seem to resolve, right? In all three scenarios, no matter what place on the spectrum you fall, it boils down to one of two things that you need to address, sometimes both. So despite what most people may believe or think and all the laundry list of reasons we can identify for why people have obstacles in these areas, it comes down to either a preparation issue or an identity issue, right? We can color in the gaps with all the nuance and the details, but to keep it simplified, it's one of those two, and sometimes it's both. Now, what does that mean? That means when we're talking about a preparation issue, that's a matter of you keep getting the same results because you're not prepared for the results you want to get, right? Meaning you're not doing the things you need to be doing to change your current results. So if you are, struggling in a dating stage and you keep, getting the same carousel of people that just aren't the right fits for you, then your process probably isn't being adjusted, or your ability to vet through the people better hasn't been developed. That muscle hasn't been built. Same thing for if you keep getting in relationships with someone that it ultimately ends in a painful breakup, right? You're not navigating your relationships appropriately to make sure that certain conversations are had, certain standards are upheld to make sure you don't wind up getting this super painful outcome. Just like if your current relationship has ongoing issues, it's a reflection of not having the proper communication tools or skills or ability to listen actively and understand what your partner's trying to convey and how to meet each other's needs, right? You haven't done the things to prepare yourself to be able to navigate whatever stage you're at effectively. Let's be clear here. I'm speaking to you directly about having a preparation issue or identity issue, because at the end of the day, you're the only person that can control what you do to try to get better results in your relationship dynamic, whether you're in the dating stage, whether you're in the early relationship phase or in an ongoing relationship, right? You can't force your partner to do anything, want to try on anything, none of that. All you can do is influence them. And you influence them best by how you show up, right? Same thing in your dating experiences. If you want to start getting different partners or different, options, then you have to change the way you're approaching your process to give yourself a different pool of candidates, if you will. Now, let's be clear on breaking down what an actual preparation issue is versus an identity issue, because they are vastly different and they produce vastly different outcomes. And so one is a lot more workable. The other takes a whole deeper level of a deep dive to deal with, right? So I want to make sure you're aware of where you're sitting. So, for example, if you have an preparation issue, that would be something like in your relationship, you really have a hard time trusting your partner, right? And you have a hard time trusting your partner, not because whether they're being extremely untrustworthy or if they are, right? It's mainly because you don't trust your ability to actually vet out the right signs to see to let you know whether your partner is actually trustworthy or not, right? You don't have the tools. So since you've never gotten clear on what are the green flags to look out for, what are the red flags to be careful about and all that, so now you're in a space of not being able to fully trust your decision to trust your partner. So it's the ignorance of that information that's getting you in a jam, right? Which makes it difficult for you to actually get to the stage of trusting your partner, even though they may be doing trustworthy things. So the way you would address something like this, right, to make sure you don't have a preparation issue that's continuing to ruin the results you want to get in your relationship dynamic, is learn the signs you usually miss, right? Use the past for useful examples, which is what it's for, to find your blind spots, right? What are the things you can strengthen your vetting muscles on to be able to trust in your ability to analyze what you're seeing in front of you or the experience you're getting from your partner. The other piece to building this tool is by deciding what does a trustworthy look like in action, right? If you deem you're a trustworthy person yourself, right, then you know how you operate to be trustworthy in different, scenarios, whether it be certain conversations, whether something is happening or going on, and the way you move with character, so that you're being trustworthy. Like, what's it look like in practice? Break it down, and then start to put that filter over your partner and say, hey, am I seeing them do the same kind of things in these circumstances that gives me reassurance that they're being trustworthy, because I identify with their actions, because I do those things as a trustworthy person myself, right? So decide what trustworthiness looks like in practice, and then get clear on the areas you tend to miss or overlook that would let you know and upfront, okay, this person probably is being trustworthy. So now you can start to trust your partner. Now, see, that's fixable, right? As long as you can figure out where I'm having to miss, you can fill in the space on what you need to learn or build on to be able to change your result, which allows you to start dealing with whatever the issue you have is, whether it's a trust issue, whether it's a communication issue, to get better resolve, right? Now, if you have a identity issue, this is a whole different ball game. If you have an identity issue with the same example of trust, right, being a problem, it's not because you don't have the tools to vet through properly to trust yourself that you can trust them. No matter what your partner does, it's never enough. Something's always going to feel like it's missing for you to be able to fully trust them, right? Whether you fear they're going to cheat on you, or they're going to lie to you, or they're going to abandon you like people in the past have always done, right? You're more fearful of that, and just nothing they can do. They could be being completely trustworthy, right? The most trustworthy person on the planet, to the point that you'll even find a way or a reason to make them untrustworthy. If they give you no reason to feel like they're not being trustworthy, you'll make up one. Or you'll give yourself a reason to find something to say, no, I can still question you with this right here. Why? Because it allows you to hold on to an identity that you have, that no one's ever going to, not abandon you or be trustworthy enough for you, because everyone in the past has always lied to you or always done you wrong. So this is the kind of person you are, and therefore anyone that's going to be with you is going to treat you the way everyone else does, where ultimately on some level you don't believe yourself deserving of or capable of having a partner that's going to do right by you in these different ways. And the reason why you would do this to yourself, because obviously consciously we would say that doesn't make sense. Why would I do that to myself, right? But it's because however you self-identify, you will always live in accordance to. So if you believe something, or you have your identity tied to a certain experience that you've had, then by default, your brain is designed to make sure you only accept a reality or narratives that support who you believe you are. Because if you feel like you're not sound in your mind of knowing who you are and how to navigate the world, it's a real scary thing, right? You start feeling like you don't know anything. You feel like you're floating, and you don't have that sense of certainty and reassurance. So now you can start to trip out a little bit, right? So just for your own peace of mind, just to make sure that you're not crazy and you have your grasp on how to navigate this thing called life, you will start to convince yourself and tell yourself whatever you need to make sure your external world matches your internal world. So if you're seeing where I'm going with this, the reason why the identity issue is a much more crucial issue to have is because it literally can cause you to start self-sabotaging your own relationship situations, because internally you truly deep down believe that's what you're deserving of, even if it's not what you want consciously. In a key loop, people that have identity issues get stuck in versus someone that has a preparation issue is always over questioning something that doesn't make sense to what they feel they're truly deserving of, or what they've never experienced before. So if it is like maybe trusting your partner, or even communicate with them certain ways, or what have you, if you've always dealt with extremely toxic people in the past, then now it may be the natural thing for you to do to question everything that they say, or they say something, you can't just take it at face value. You got to pick at it with a million questions. Or if you catch yourself asking yourself the internal question that maybe you don't say to someone else out here, in the sense of, no, why would they do all that stuff for me? Well, why would they care that much to go this far for me? Right? Like, people don't just do that. Or, I'm I'm not that special for them to do all this. So now something's funny, something's off with this, right? To where the very idea of someone, being honorable to you, right? Liking you to a certain degree, giving you praise, pouring into you, genuinely investing into you in the most loving ways seems weird to you, or something's missing, something's off about it, or something's not right about it. It's not comfortable because your norm of comfort is maybe toxicity, because maybe all of your past partners, it's been an unhealthy experience. You have to have be armored up with, boundaries, and you had to always be watching your back and looking through phones and things because it was just such a toxic dynamic, and they were always doing toxic things, in respect to you, to where you became really defensive and guarded and all these things. And so from those relationships, yes, you have grown some, right? You've healed some. You put the resolve or rest some of those things that you've gone through, and you finally come across a partner that's a little bit healthier, a little bit, more in the space of what you actually want consciously, but your identity won't allow you to fully accept that person because them being the way they are, even though consciously is what you want, doesn't make sense to your identity internally, to what you're familiar with, for what makes sense to your world that you've always been living in. And that's the piece that gets people to start doing stuff to now they start causing issues where there's no issue. You start bringing up certain conversation topics to your partner, and you keep picking at certain things that are really small or insignificant or have no merit behind them at all. But because you can't rest on the idea that this person really could love you to this degree, or they really are not out to get you and all these things. And so you wind up doing stuff that starts to then irritate them, emotionally drain them, and start to push them away until you start to get exactly the experience that you internally feel makes sense to you, to where maybe now the relationship starts to turn sour. Now they start becoming, really frustrated with you. Now you guys are starting to argue because they're starting to push back, and they're getting angry and upset more often now. They have a shorter fuse. Their patience is gone with you because they've been doing this with you for weeks to months, right? And then now you look up and the relationship is exactly what you are used to. Now you're right at home, right? With your identity, right? Now, obviously, consciously, you don't want that, but you subconsciously made sure you had to do everything that was necessary to make your external world match your internal world. So remember, a preparation issue can always be solved with merely gaining more knowledge and tools to fix something, right? It can be fixed. But an identity issue can't be fixed. It has to be transformed, which is a lot more work and a lot more deep dive. And it's more of a lifestyle commitment, right? It's not just some actions and I need to adjust, or a few key items I need to, pick up on and know. No, I need to go on a rework, tear down from the floor up as to who I am and who I see myself as and what makes sense to me and what I deserve and all the things. And sometimes you may have both of them going on simultaneously. And usually, if you do have an identity issue, then you're more likely going to have some preparation issues as well, because you have prepared yourself for the current identity that you're carrying that's not getting you serving results, right? So there is a difference, but oftentimes they can operate hand in hand, side by side. And here's the piece. If you have these, issues, right? The identity issue and even the preparation issue, more importantly, the identity issue, then whoever you start to attract or you come into encounter, whether it's dating, whether you're in a short-term relationship already or one that's been going on for a while, they most likely will have some sort of issues on their end, preparation or identity wise, that is comparable to yours, right? It may not be the exact same reasoning or same things going on, but it's going to be in harmony with what your situation is, because we attract who and what we are. So to give yourself some direction on figuring out whether you have a preparation issue or an identity issue, or maybe a little bit of both, ask yourself questions like, do I have a pattern of always choosing the wrong partner? And that would be a good insight that if you always seem to keep getting the same people, it's that you have a preparation issue. You're not changing your process or what have you to, attract more of the ideal partner you want to have. It could also be you haven't learned the tools for identifying the right green or red flags and potential partners so that you can vet through your options even better. Could be that as well. Now, ask yourself this next question though. No matter what kind of partner you wind up finding, right? Whether they can be the greatest partner or not the greatest partner, do you tend to have the same issues with any partner no matter what? Because if the answer is yes, you do, no matter what kind of partner, because you say, hey, I do get different types of guys or women, right? It's not always the same kind of person, but I always wind up having these same little concerns or issues. Then that is a glaring symbol of an identity issue, right? To where no matter how great the person is, right, you still have the same kind of circumference of problems that you deal with them. If that's the case, the only way you can work on that is by doing more self-reflective work, more self-worth writing and journaling and affirmations to yourself, more building the identity of who you truly want to be and feel like you actually are, right? So you can start to reflect and project that person so that now when you're in a relationship or you come across someone that could be great for you, you don't be part of the problem by self-sabotaging in certain dialogue or conversations or doing things that are probably habitual to you that are going to get you the same issues, even with a whole entirely different person. Because at the end of the day, if you keep dating or getting into relationships with different types of people, but your results are always eerily similar, if not dead on the same, then the only common denominator in that situation is you. And here's a third great question to ask yourself, whether you're in that dating space, just started a relationship, or you're in an ongoing one. Ask yourself, do you fear losing the relationship more than losing yourself? Because if you're being honest with yourself, right? And the answer is you fear losing out on this dating opportunity with this person, or this person you finally just made it to a relationship with, or the person you've been with for all this time, right? You keep accepting poor behavior, right? Consistently, right? Or just bad, energy, toxic patterns, all sorts of habits and all the things you keep accepting, or just being unhappy there, and you keep sticking around for it. That's screaming to you there's an identity issue. Because remember, standards and your identity are one and the same. Because standards are what you require to live at, to feel like you're being you, to live in a happy, healthy, holistic way in harmony. So if you're accepting anything less than what you say you identify with, then you don't actually identify with that thing you say. You identify with the experience you're allowing to continue on in your life. So if you really want the help in your dating, new relationship, or ongoing relationship or marriage life, right, to either fix your preparation issues, to learn the tools and the skills you need to get those better results, or to really go through that transformation to fix your identity issues so you can start attracting and cultivating the relationship dynamic you want instead of self-sabotaging and attracting the wrong one you don't want, right? Then email or DM me the word coaching and we will get to work as long as you're truly ready to put that work in. If you're not ready for one-on-one coaching, don't have the time, space, or maybe even the resources, at least email or DM me the word revival to join my Relationship Revival Hub community, where you can learn the same things I teach my clients one-on-one at your own pace on your own time. Either way, do something to get in the race. Let's get it.